What's up, YouTube? So today's topic, I'm gonna talk about the reasons why I feel like most human beings in this world are very useless and are very like not worth spending your time around with. I don't want to say every person because I haven't met every person in the world, but I feel like most human beings, without a doubt, most people, at least in America, are very useless. What I mean by that is because I have a lot of reasons. So one, based on my observation and interacting with people, most human beings, they're very conditional and they're very programmed and they're very lost spiritually. They're very lost. A lot of human beings, I've noticed, kind of funny actually, because it's pathetic. A lot of human beings, they're very stuck in their ways and they don't like change at all. Like they don't like to, when it comes to their mindset and stuff like that. And because they refuse to change their mindset, they refuse to change their ways. This is why a lot of people are average in this world. Um, this is why there's no real change being made in this world, in my opinion, because human beings are afraid to change. For what reason? I don't know, but I'm assuming it's because they're too weak, they're too insecure. I really don't know what it is, but a lot of human beings are very conditional. So meaning like because they have a lot of trauma and they don't like to heal themselves and they don't like to self-reflect, if they're in a connection with someone, they're very conditional. So if the person they're connected with, if they're not like, if they're making them uncomfortable in some way to where they're like kind of like a mirror for them to face themselves, most of them will run away, most of them will ghost you, most of them will betray you or talk behind your back or do something to screw you over and stuff like that, or they'll bully you or not like you simply because you're not at fault. It's just you're just showing them the things that they need to work on. And but because human beings are so stuck in their ways, that frightens them, that scares them. So it will look like them betraying you, ghosting you, turning on you, and even they don't know what's going on. But because you such a mirror to them, you show them all their bullshit. They don't want to fucking change. Also, human beings are stuck in their ways, meaning like if they have a certain mindset, if they're programmed or raised a certain way, their refusal to think outside the box and their refusal to look at things from both perspectives and to develop empathy, because of that, they can't do that. So that means so that's why it's so hard to interact with a lot of human beings. It's so hard to befriend them. It's because they can't put themselves in their shoes. They lack empathy. They don't have an open mind. It's because of their upbringing. It's because how they're raised, and because most human beings are too afraid to face themselves and to heal. They just go about life viewing people how they want them to view. In reality, a lot of human beings are unique. A lot of human beings are different. But because most people fail to see that, they don't have a problem with like having a certain opinions on most people, ghosting people, hurting people, and some of them may not even realize that, but they're hurting people and they're not caring about people and how they contribute to society is they're not making any change to society. They participate in society, but they're not making any real changes. They don't question society or anything like that. They're just part of the system and they like to give people a hard time. So they don't have like a true purpose, anything like that. So also, most human beings, they like to make up stories to justify their own bullshit. So that'll look like them projecting their own trauma onto you, or they'll have a group think. So like if if you have a group of human beings who are pretty much similar to where they don't like change, they're stuck in their own ways like most people are. If they see someone that stands out, that they face their emotions, they face their trauma, they have an open mind and they're willing to change, they're gonna bully that person, or they're gonna harass that person, or they're gonna team up and have a group think, and they're all gonna, as a group, they're gonna try to take that person down, whether it be like physically, verbally, mentally, spiritually, etc. So that plays out, and you see this happen all over the world, like generational curses, people who talk about stories about their abusive family, how their family gangs up on them and shit like that. And not only that, but you see this part in high schools and middle schools and elementary schools where there's a lot of bullies and stuff like that. So that happens a lot. You see it happen within the feminism movement, where like a lot of females, they're feminists and all that, and like they don't and they think all men are a certain way. In reality, they're not. They're just attracting certain men because they're fucking traumatized, and because they can attract right men because they're too traumatized and they have a lot of fucking toxicity, but their refusal to change or to take accountability, they assume every man is like that. In reality, they're attracting shitty men because they themselves are shitty. So they like to think every man's a piece of shit when they're not. And so they bitch and complain on social media or in person. And they develop movements like that and stuff like that. So I definitely see that shit play out. Also, like, a lot of people are very narcissistic. A lot of people are very selfish. A lot of people, like, they like to betray people, ghost people, cheat on people, not have any type of moral compass. They like to talk down on people. They like to, they have a lot of envy and jealousy and steal from people. Is because they themselves don't feel like they're worth of love, or like they're worthy or anything like that. And they're too afraid to change or to look at themselves. They're afraid to step out of their comfort zone. They're afraid to be a leader, and because of that, they like to be in group think, or they like to harm people. And some of them might not even realize that, but that's how they go about it. So that's how I view most human beings. Obviously, not all of them. I'm giving the benefit of the doubt that there are some people that are good out there. I'm not saying I'm perfect. I got things I need to work on that I'm trying to actively change, but at least I'm trying to change it. Other people, they'd rather just stay stuck in their ways, or they'll justify their behaviors, or they'll go into groupthink. Like, oh, you see how I'm not changing, but you see how the person is similar to me. That means I'm not crazy. I'm not the wrong. You are. So that's what they pretty much think about it. Some of them are aware of this. Some of them aren't even aware of this. Yeah, but also, like, I just feel like human beings, they're very conditional and they're very shallow. Like, they don't like to get off their comfort zone. They don't like to have an open mind. They don't like to really change their life in a way. They like to stay stagnant. They like to stay stuck, and they're just too lazy, and they're very conditional. So if you're not a certain way, if you don't like, if you don't buy into how they view people based on their delusion, they're not gonna like you, or they're not gonna care about you. They're not gonna have empathy about you, or they don't even want to have empathy towards you. That's how most human beings are. So how it plays out is that's the reason why there's no real change being made in this world. This is why there's a lot of like fucked up things happening. A lot of people are traumatized. A lot of people are stuck in their ways. It's because of that, pretty much. So it's a huge domino effect. So if you're watching this, if you're the type of person who's very genuine, who's very loving and giving, just know that you're not going crazy. You're not making this up. It's not you. Yes, human beings aren't perfect by nature. That's fine, but I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about, like, if you keep observing or attracting people who are very fucking heartless, it's just because human beings in general, they don't like change. They're stuck in their ways, and it's not you. You're not going crazy. There's nothing wrong with you. There's something wrong with them. You're a good person. You're a right person. You're worthy. You're a badass. It's just that, not badass in a bad way, but like a badass in a good way. Like, you're a good person. You're a blessing in people's lives, but you're just placed in the wrong environment. You're placed in the earth, in the world, in the realm, in the reality, to where you're around a bunch of spiritually sick people. That's why. Yeah, with a lot of mental health issues. So, but the reason why a lot of people are like that, a lot of people are narcissistic, a lot of people are stuck in their ways, a lot of people are refusing change, is because we live in a society, we live in a world where, like, everything is ruled and controlled by money and by corrupt groups of people, and how the society is orchestrated and set up, because there's so much control, there's so much restrictions, there's so much confusion, there's so much unfairness in this life. Because people are forced to work, money rules over people's lives like that. This world isn't going to support you if you refuse to work, because working jobs should be voluntarily. It shouldn't be forced upon you. But since society is so Society is so covert in an evil way that they'll punish you without you even knowing, or without the world even seeing this shit. They do this shit covertly. This is why, like, when you decide not to work, this society isn't going to give you money. This society isn't going to give you a house or a car. They're just going to put you to the side. You're going to be homeless, and they're not going to do a damn thing to help you, unless you have a resume, or if you have connections, or if you abide by the system by going to school, high school, college, or joining the military, or just doing something that participates in this society, even though it shouldn't be forced upon people. It should be voluntarily, but it is forced upon people covertly. So that creates a lot of mental health issues within the average collective, within the average person. So that's one of the reasons why, unfortunately, and then that turns creates a lot of narcissistic people, a lot of a lot of generational curses, a lot of dysfunctional families, the domestic violence and stuff like that. A lot of like betrayal and people cheating on each other and stuff like that. So that's one of the reasons why. So if you're watching this, you're not going crazy. It's not you, it's the people. But the best thing you can do is to observe people. Try not to be like them by doing the opposite. So doing the healing work, self-reflecting, doing the best you can to improve yourself. But don't be a perfectionist. Don't be hard on yourself. But just give yourself grace and empathy, knowing that you're not alone and that is not you're not the problem. You're just around a lot of dysfunctional people in a dysfunctional society. So the best thing you could do is to be that inspiration that people want to see. Lead by example. Don't force anything, and do the best you can to live the best peaceful life that you can. It is easier said than done, and as human beings, we do require connection. But because this society is so fucked up, it's gonna be hard, and it's gonna be natural. It is gonna be okay that you feel off, or like you feel alone, or like you feel some type of pain. It's not you. It's just you're not sensitive either. It's gonna be sensitive, but what I mean by like you're not weak or anything like that. It's just it's natural to feel that because you're a human being. But because we live in a really backwards world, you're gonna feel that. So that's all I gotta say. Have a good one. Peace.